So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success story series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, and challenges, and what's really driving the forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted that we have back with us Paul Walton and his son Tom, who are both directors at Whitley, sorry, Scientific. So, guys, thank you so much for coming back and talking to us a little bit about what's happened since last time. But if you'd like to introduce yourself, what you do, and how you help people to start with, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so Paul Walton, I'm managing director at Whitley Scientific. Have been, I don't know how many years. I've worked with the company since its inception. And that will be 50 years. The year after next, year after next, that will have been in business. So I'm now the elder statesman here. It only seems minutes since I was the young gun, but no, I am the elder statesman now. Yeah. How do we help people? Yeah. Is that what you said to me?
Yeah, how you help people.
Question?
You produce some really amazing things. So maybe just give people an idea of the sorts of things that you do.
Yeah, we make various things for which we supply to the health service, to food companies, to the drug companies. The company started off, it was microbiology. That was our field, and that's because my father, Tom's grandfather, Don Whitley, he's a microbiologist.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not with us now, or he would be sitting here speaking to you as well. But yeah, so it was microbiology, and the main product that I suppose has run right the way through the company's life has been the production of workstations in which we can control the atmosphere. Primarily, this was to give an atmosphere of no oxygen, so to facilitate the growing of anaerobic microbes. As time's gone on, various scientists in different fields have realized that changing the oxygen levels inside a workstation where they are developing their drugs is very important. So we have now developed workstations where we can control the oxygen tension from 0, which is anaerobic, up to air, which we're all breathing. In it's 0.1%. In 0.1% increments from none up to air.
Wow.
And that's really important for the tissue culture people, cancer research people, heart research people. It's opened up all kinds of new markets for us, which are very exciting. We've now got patents on the way we do that. We can now provide not only a change in the oxygen tension, but also a sterile environment.
Right.
That's another thing that we have a patent on, because as these workers have basically asked us if we can provide these workstations, has taken us into a field where they are actually developing drugs that they want to test on with human beings. To do that, you have to do it in a sterile atmosphere. That wasn't the case for anaerobic workstations when you're just growing bacteria from samples. And we've developed the workstations to a point where we can produce that sterile atmosphere. That's a world first, and we've got that patented. So that's massive for us. And so that's probably been the biggest development, hasn't it? That we've gone through.
Absolutely amazing. And I think I said probably when we first met, the thing I love about doing this is highlighting the fact that we've got amazing businesses right on our doorstep doing amazing things. So you've have a world's first over this last year, or something that no one else ever done. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. We're very proud of it.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Brilliant. And since we last spoke together, I think it's quite a bit over 12 months ago, but what are some of the key developments and changes that you've had with the business, and obviously with where you're going and what you've achieved?
Well, we've always been developing our export markets.
Yeah.
But with these new products coming along, That's developed them even further.
Yeah.
We've got more people interested in us. We've developed the way we've marketed things around the world. Especially with the website, we get so much more business through our website. So much more interest. We get involved in podcasts with lots of scientists, and so one thing's pushed another thing along. So it's not just one route we've been going down, but we've also developed I suppose, our technical expertise. With this new workstation, we've now got people who are more people at a higher level in our R&D department than we ever had before.
Right.
So that was frozen.
I'm still here. I can hear you.
All right, sorry,
Yeah, I think it's just the
you
video.
froze. You froze. Yeah, so we've got more people helping us develop these products now, who can work at a higher level than we used to have to do. That's been a good thing. We've developed our engineering. We've got a much more advanced 3D modeling system now. We've invested in a CMM system, which is for measuring the things that we are making, the components, so they're all a lot better. And all of these things, I'm going to hand over to Tom in a sec, but all of these things have been really important to develop the service offering that we give to our customers.
Yeah.
We have to compete with some enormous companies.
Yeah.
And the way that we do that is we give the best service. I would say that, but it's true. And Tom leads that.
Yeah.
He can speak a bit about that.
I'm Tom. So I'm the service director. The service department's now 16 people, 12 engineers, myself, and a chap called Russell, who's our service manager, and two ladies who make up the admin team. So we're kind of, Russell and I are in and out of the office, kind of trying to upsell service around our customers. And the rest of the guys out on the road right now. So we cover the whole of kind of Scotland, England, and Wales.
Wow.
So it accounts for about £2.5 million worth of turnover for the business every year. So we're obviously servicing the core products that we make and we design, and we also have distribution agreements with 3 other businesses. So we sell autoclaves through a company based in Israel called Tuttenauer, and they're predominantly in not hospital, not clinical. It's more food microbiology.
Right.
We have a distributorship with a French company, and they make a suite of products for food microbiology. And we have a distributorship with a company from Italy who are clinical diagnostics. So we sell swabs as consumables, and they also make the capital equipment, so the piece of equipment that processes those swabs too. So you don't need to have the instrument for the swabs, but if we sell that capital equipment, we try and bolt the swabs onto that as well. So that makes our service offering. From when I started, probably been working in service 20 years, we maybe had 10, 12 different products that we work on. And I'd say now we're probably north of like 80, including legacy products, because of course, just because we don't sell it, and we might change an agency or a business might be bought and then they'll go direct, we still look after the products that we've sold. So it's a really big part of the business. It's become really, really diverse. Back in the early days, it was only going to hospitals and working with hospitals. And now, my dad mentioned, we're in universities, we're in drug companies, private industries, research sites. So it's a really eclectic mix of equipment we've got now. You've got very, very high-end, complex pieces of equipment that installations might be worth over £5 million, high-value service contracts, a lot of KPIs kind of tied to these. So we've got to be there next day. We've got to do deals with people where we have, there's got to be a minimum amount of uptime for products. So that's very high pressure. And then you have the other customers who are not, they've got redundancy in what they're doing. So response time can be 2 or 3 days. So that's led to us a few challenges for us as a growing business. Where do we get good engineers from? which is really hard. It's just hard to get good people, really, I find, generally, who'll do a good day's work for you. So we started an apprenticeship scheme.
Oh, brilliant.
Probably 14 years ago that started, which has been a massive success for us. We've got apprentices all around the business, kind of people who are qualified and people who are currently on our apprenticeship schemes. So in my department, if I kind of keep it to the service department, I've got Adam, Dan, Jake, Joe, Callum. I've got 5 apprentices who have come through our production, done 5-year apprenticeships, and are now working full-time in service, which is fantastic for us because they're learning the core products in production. They're spending 5 years there. They're learning how to build, assemble, all the instruments, how to repair them as well, because obviously we do have issues from time to time in production. Some things aren't right. Then myself and Russell will start getting those guys on a Friday, and we'll teach them about all of the agency products that we sell. So we found that's been a massive success for us as a business. You can really mold people, teach them the kind of what Don Whitley's is all about. Obviously, we've had rapid kind of growth over probably say 10-year period, but really probably last 5 years it's been more intense in terms of personnel and staff. And that, as you can imagine, has its kind of challenges. And the company grows. When I started, I think there were maybe 25 people. Yeah. I think as a group, we're maybe 120 people. Yeah. So the difference in that and managing, trying to keep the Don Whitleyness in Don Whitley's, as I refer to it, and it becoming a bigger kind of animal, having to have more formalities, more structure. I think it's helped having apprentices within kind of those customer-facing environments because they get it, and they understand what Don Whitley's is about. It's a little harder with an external hire, who comes into this business to kind of grasp the culture. So we've got to put a lot more effort into that side of it. And it's hard. It's getting harder now for the guys too because they're working on, like I said, a lot of different platforms. We've got like fast response, different environments. So it's not the job it was. It's a lot higher pressure. We're traveling a lot of miles. There's a lot more traffic. Everyone's a lot more demanding in service, and I can really I get that. I was out on the road. I was a service engineer. I covered, half of Scotland and down to the Midlands, and I've definitely seen a noticeable change. Certainly the last 5 years, where people's expectations. Everybody thinks you're Amazon. And we try to be. That's what we aspire to be. We've made changes in the facility, how we get spare parts out and the likes to our engineers and to customers, to try and achieve that. But we're not quite there yet. But that's our goal. That's where we're aiming. And to echo what my dad says, the only way we kind of stay a viable business is by giving the best customer service. And we take a lot of pride in that. It's always nice to go toe to toe with big companies. We enjoy that. We can be flexible. Like Dad said, we've got a lot of resource. We actually had something go on this week. We had to adapt some machines. It was fantastic. These are not machines that we've made. The machines that we've sold was part of one of our agencies. I can go to the machine shop. I can speak to a gentleman in the machine shop. We can get the part drawn up. We can modify it. And probably within 6 working days, it will be from tomorrow because I'm doing some work out tomorrow on one of these machines. We'll have rectified everything with that customer base, 6 working days. Brilliant. And I don't think there's anyone really, without wanting to sound big-headed, who in our industry who can deliver that kind of service and be that flexible. So that's something we're really, really proud of.
The companies that we're dealing with, the companies in our industry are just getting bigger and bigger. They're just buying up billions. All the small, the £1 billion companies. And that, obviously, they have a massive strength because of that, but they also have a weakness because of that. But as Tom alluded to, if there's something needs doing quickly, don't ask them. It's like ringing your bank.
Absolutely.
You need a day, don't you, to be able to get through. It's the same thing. Yes. And that is our strength, and that's where we're really focusing on that. And it's the only way to compete against these people. Yes. And it's what let's touch wood. We're doing okay at the moment,
Certainly sounds like it.
Well, we've taken a couple of really big. We won't mention names because you don't know who's going to be listening to this, but we've taken a couple of really big service contracts from one of these huge companies, and it's contracts that they had, and the customers were not happy with the service, and they've come to us, and that we didn't chase those particularly.
Right.
When the customer came on to us, we showed them what we could do, and word of mouth as well from customers who were happy with us, which we've taken the contracts from them, and that's good. It's really good.
It's big for us. I think we've found that we've had to adapt a lot in service, like I said, with all the different platforms we work on. We're obviously always going to be led by sales, and it depends how good sales is, how well we do with the distributorship. So you're always balancing, like, who do I need to do this work? What engineer can take this on? All our guys work with their own areas, their own customer bases. And this year has been the year where we've said, right, we're going to start portioning off sections of work here. So one of our big agencies for an Italian company, we've put a lot of firepower into that. We've bulked up our sales, we've bulked up our service. So we've got people very, very focused in this area. So it's not just about pushing the sale. I'd say that's a massive part of it. We need to get sales, but it's very application heavy. And we've given the time for sales guys and our service guys to learn about application and spend this time with customers. Like my dad's saying, customer service is everything to us. And we've kind of seen that's kind of been what's missing in certain areas. I'd like to say we've always delivered good customer service. That's been our ethos.
But it's the products are. There's so many more products now, and they're so much more advanced. It's harder than it used to be. You just used to have to get there on time with your bag of spanners, and fix stuff. It's very different now with the software that's involved and so on and so forth. It's a much more. It's very complicated, and we're doing a good job with that. We've got good people, in our service, in production, in mechanical engineering, we have a lot of really good people there who can solve problems for us.
Yes.
And one thing that this has led on to, which has been really good for us, is that we've done a number of specials for where we're now getting scientists coming to us with a problem that they want to solve. We've won really, really good case, haven't we, in Manchester, where and I'll need help with the technical side of this with Tom, but they are using a proton beam to try and eradicate a cancer or a tumor, because radiotherapy they use it, but it's a bit of a scattergun, and it damages a lot of the surrounding area or where the tumor is. This proton beam thing is really directed at the tumor, and what they wanted to do, and I said to you before about the hypoxic conditions that they wanted to look at.
Yes.
They asked us if we could produce a workstation that can give hypoxic conditions and can be at the end of the line of this machine that produces the proton beam, which is vast. It's in like a huge concrete bunker in Manchester. It's a massive, big deal.
Wow.
And our workstation is at the end, and we've modified it. We've created all kinds of, we call it a hotel, don't they? That they can put the samples in.
The samples are in the hotel, in the tumors. If you look at our workstation, you can see us. It's a lot bigger as the proton beam one. There'll be a hole in the front so the beam can fly through. It's sealed, but there's a material that the beam can pass through. Not the acrylic. There's a robot on the right. There's a hotel. The robot's provided by a company. We just house it in our instrument. The robot knows where to go in the hotel, what to pull out. So he'll pull it out. The tumor will be essentially in its sample holder. The beam will fire at the tumor. Then that's removed, and they do some time-lapse photography now to see the effect of the beam on the tumor. Does it shrink? What's happening? There's obviously a lot more science and detail to it than that.
They're not firing this thing.
It's not people. No. It's all research. It's all research based. All research based.
But for potential treatments in the future, which is
absolutely,
It must feel great to be part of something like that.
It's
Oh,
good.
it's fantastic for us. I mean, this is really a big deal. This thing, if I understand it correctly, they can only run it at night time because of how much power it takes.
Right.
And when they kick this thing off,
Brilliant.
it uses as much power as the Trafford Centre.
Right. Goodness. Wowzers. Because they're split, I guess they're split through proton beams, you're splitting atoms and all sorts, I would
Yeah,
assume. Because that's,
yeah, it's that kind of stuff that they're
yeah,
doing, you know. And
incredible.
it's fantastic that it's our workstation that they've chosen, or our company that they've chosen to develop this product with them. It's,
I remember last time you were describing things that you were doing, and I have a few wow moments. That's amazing. Do you? I mean, how often do you get that when people describe what they want you to do or what you're part of? Do you get those sort of wow? This is incredible.
I love it. I love
Brilliant.
it. You know, it gets you up in the morning, all that kind of stuff. It's great to see. And I've been really lucky in that I was there at the beginning when, you know, my dad designed an anaerobic jar, and that was it. That's what we had, and it's great to see the
Brilliant.
development of it. And it's been great to see the people, the young people who have come on board and grown with the company and learned, you know, so much from it, and
Yeah.
and now have a career.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
really good.
That is the best bit.
Yeah.
It's nice when you watch when we have a project like this and like the specials, when you're watching all the different departments kind of mesh, you know, and how they've all got to work together because it's, you know, it's not one person who does this. It's a huge team effort, and I think
Yes.
we certainly had our challenges in COVID. You know, we kept open and we ran and we did well, but it was tough. It was hard. You know, a lot of people were frightened. It was difficult for us as a business, and that was probably certainly one of my biggest working challenges, dealing with kind of people and who were frightened and the fears of big emotion, and you know, and I think
Absolutely tough. Yeah.
we did really well to get that going, and you know,
Yeah, to keep the thing rolling along,
massively.
you know.
And at first, obviously, nobody knew what was going to happen, and we had to keep producing product, you know, to keep the company going. So
Absolutely.
I think some strong bonds have been made through that period,
Yes.
and that's helped us kick on when we get these specials, and that makes you proud
Yeah.
when you're watching everybody mesh and everybody's involved and stuff. And I think, like, for me, certainly my view on this, it's like team. It's all about that team dynamic and having a good team. You don't always get it right. It's all about learning, you know, and changing things and stuff. But I think we've done that. We've done that pretty well, you know.
Oh yeah,
Certainly in the last 5 years,
Brilliant.
it's been tough.
It's all been about that. I'll tell you a very quick, funny story about when COVID first kicked off, and we had 3 or 4 guys working with us who've been with us a long time, who were, I don't know, even past 70, I think.
Yeah, they were,
past 70 years old. They're
yeah.
still working, still happy to work. And we said to them, you know, the advice we're getting is that you should be given the opportunity to be furloughed because of your age. You know, you could be in danger. And they all said, well, that would be great. That is great because my wife is worried about this and so on and so forth. So we furloughed those people and 2 or 3 other ones as well, but those people. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, they all rang me up and said, look, can I come back to work because I've done the decorating, I've done this, I've done that, and I'm now sitting on the couch reading my newspaper, and my wife's playing hell with me, being in the way. So if it's okay, can I come back? And which is
Brilliant.
what they did. It amused me.
It always sounds great, doesn't it? To get paid not to work. It always sounds like
Yeah.
really, really busy. It sounds like the most best thing. But if you're a naturally busy person, it's after, as you say, whether it's a couple of weeks, a couple of days, a couple of hours, it's like, oh no, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I need a purpose other than decorating. Yeah.
So, what would you say the key challenges and wins that you've had over this last sort of year or two, and what have you learned from them?
But I suppose just put a bit of post-COVID stuff. I think when obviously we don't want to go on too much about COVID, but when that happened, we had to kind of really change what we were doing, and I suppose our way of thinking. My brother is export director, so his job is just flying around, promoting the products, doing demos, speaking to customers, and then obviously all of a sudden that just ended. There was no traveling anywhere. We couldn't do anything, and that got us to developing in this technology we're speaking to you on now. I think you were involved in that as well, Debbie, getting this market, getting the suite of video conferencing. We can record ourselves, we can record demonstrations. And I think I'd say that was a massive success. And what that also allowed us to do is to now, we're through COVID. Obviously, we want to be in front of customers, speaking to customers, but there is a certain mindset, I think, now in certain organizations where everything's done via video. And having this technology and this available to us allows us to do demos. Yeah. We can do a demo and get a really focused audience and do that, which has been fantastic. There's nothing like taking the kit to the customer and getting that connect, and you've got that opportunity to make those relationships where you're asking, how are the kids, how's this, how's that. A demo via video can be perceived as being, I suppose, almost a little clinical, but it's become a part of kind of modern day work for us massively. Yeah. So I'd say this has been a big success. We're able to deliver service training through it also, which it is harder because there's a big hands-on part of that. Thankfully, we've got guys coming over again. That started again, which is great. But I'd say this was a pretty big success. Having this suite.
What you can't see from what you're looking at now, you're looking at one very small section of a big room in which we've got all our workstations, all the other equipment. We've got our competitors' equipment in here as well. So when we're doing these demonstrations to people around the world, we can show them our equipment. Yep. Then we can wheel the competitors' gear there, and we can say why we are saying ours is better. Nice. Because some of these smaller distributors they don't have demonstration equipment. Yep. The market's not big enough, but you can show them everything, and they understand so much more fully what the arguments need to be when they go to the customer and sell the product. So it's been really good for us.
I think that's definitely. And I think also, I don't know if you mentioned on the last podcast, we have a demonstration truck that we take around Europe, we take around the UK, so we can have our workstations, we can have some of the equipment that you can't quite see on camera that we sell as part of our agencies. Yep. We can physically go to site, take the equipment. I think that's been a big success. And what's really nice this year and last year, just starting again, but this year, we're doing, Joe's over next week in Denmark, and we're driving the truck around. We've done 2 truck visits. Last year, we did 2 truck visits to Ireland because we changed distributor. So those visits were basically, I do a service visit. So I went to Ireland, not as easy as before, because you have to have a carnet for all the parts now because of Brexit. So you can take certain things, but it made it a lot more complicated for us. Yeah. But we book a week of work basically where we'll go do service. We do health checks on machines, kind of free of charge to some sites, get things back to where they need to be with our new distributor. And that's followed up kind of 2 weeks later. The truck's over there. We're showing the new products and it's all back to. That's been really, really good. Brilliant. Personally, really enjoyed being part of that. Yeah. And we've had some good sales on the back of it. So I know that Joe will be looking forward to next week going over to Denmark. We've got 3 new distributors in the Nordics. So in Sweden, in Norway, and Denmark, 3 new distributors. End of last year, that decision was made. Joe and myself went over and Joe did the plan. And now it's kind of executing it this year. And these trailer trips are part of that, which is really, really good. So we can take the truck to different institutes, the distributor organising it, and we can see like 10, 20, 30, 40 customers can come, interact with these instruments, talk to our head of sales and stuff as my brother. So I think that's great. And there's always a lot of good energy about doing those trips. And we nearly always, we've always had sales on the back of it.
Sales. Yeah, we do. Yes, it's really good. Brexit has not helped that at all. Brexit hasn't helped anything. It's just been completely negative all the way through. And when Tom just touched on the carnet thing, we take a truck full of equipment, which we just would drive into Europe and drive around various places. Yep. We now have to catalogue every piece of equipment that's in the truck. The serial numbers, and they have to be logged into a country and then logged out of the country and logged into the next one. And it's... it's not as it used to be. I remember this years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the same as service. If a service engineer, we've got a company in Germany, we can go help there. Of course, we can get on a ferry, do Belgium, Holland, take our van, you drive around, you can do a week, 2 week trip, support distributors. You get on at Hull, you've got all your stock. I mean, this might be, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of spare parts, fittings, compression fittings, and all those would have to be carned now, and your tools as well.
Right.
So yeah, which is just so what was a really simple trip. So if we do that now, we have to get to Germany, take a stock from Germany because we have a business there, and travel around and do that. But you could literally load up on Friday, chuck your stock in your van, chuck your tools in, get on a ferry Sunday, be in Germany Monday, do a week's work, come back. No one asked you a question. Customers are happy.
Yep.
Everything's working great. But now, yeah, there's another. Well, I'd say another link in the chain. About 10 links in the chain.
Yes.
So yeah, that's come with its frustrations for sure.
Absolutely.
I think we've probably just about mastered that. In export, one of the guys who works in export's done a really good job with that. Alan, he's on top of all the carnets and he knows how it works. But it's taken a lot of time because, to be honest, once, as Boris said, let's get Brexit done. Once it happened, nobody had a clue what we needed to do. None of the freight companies knew. Everybody was asking for different information. So what we saw was just, chaos. It was a nightmare. It was chaos. It was chaos.
Yeah.
I think we're fortunate that we export globally, where we've had to deal outside the EU. So some of the things that happened, we're fairly familiar in certain circumstances, and we were kind of wise to them. But a lot of the distribution companies that were mainly dealing in the EU, it were just. They just were like, I don't really know.
Oh, no, I don't think we say that on the plus side, any markets have opened up for us, because we've kind of done our best to screw up the biggest market we had on our doorstep. But we were selling things around the world anyway. Nobody's suddenly come in with, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of orders because we've done Brexit. It's just.
I know.
Rant over.
No, I have to say I completely agree with you, but I try not to have too much of an opinion when I'm doing these things. But I completely agree. If you can spot the benefit, then good luck.
It's Switzerland,
But I was thinking while we're talking, and we didn't talk about this before we started, but I am keen to know, obviously, from your perspective, Paul, you've been both a father and a son in this business, and Tom's there as the son. What do you see the key dynamics of a family business, and what are the benefits and what perhaps the challenges? If you don't mind sharing, feel free to just share as little as you choose. But I'm really interested in how you feel that works for you.
The benefits are obviously that you are family.
Yes.
And the two lads working with me and my sons.
Yes.
But I suppose you could also say that's a downside, because you're so close, you perhaps can clash a little bit.
Yes.
I think we've done pretty well with that, really. I suppose it didn't seem an advantage at the time, but now the fact that my two sons are the product of two different marriages has been a help, because I think they are a lot closer in a way than they would be if they'd grown up together and done all the fighting and as they were growing up.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think that's been an advantage. They are close, and that's good. They're very different also, and whilst that can be a challenge, it can also be a huge advantage, because if they were both wanting to run service, then 100%. We have to employ someone else to do the service. But they are fitted in to basically cover the two big areas of the company.
That's a big advantage. We've also got grandchildren. Well, I've got 3 children. So my son was working here for 5 years, and he's moved on now. I won't discount the fact that maybe at some point he'll come back. I think it's a good thing for him. It was the right time for him to do something a bit different. His middle sister is here. She's doing an apprenticeship in electrical engineering. So I suppose I've seen I guess what my dad's had to put up with having two sons working for him, with having my children in the company.
Brilliant.
And that's not been without its challenges. It's hard. I think, like Dad alluded to, having mine and Joe's skill sets are very different, and we're very different guys.
Yep.
But you can never discount how much I can learn from him and what he can learn from me. I think that's really good. We've been lucky to go on we had a really nice trip, I said, to meet different distributors.
Yes.
But changing who were our agents in the Nordics. And we flew over and we drove, we did 3 days, went to each capital and we drove. So we got a lot of time together. And that was really good because Joe can do a company presentation. We both can, but we both got really different skill sets. I can talk about the service, what's important about that, what's expected, what we want from a distributor. Joe can talk about the products, what they offer, how a distributor will work, what the pricing structure is. And I think I don't think you could get a better team than two kind of brothers doing that with the different skill sets.
Brilliant.
That's really good.
What was really nice is that they have both worked for a number of years with the granddad, my dad.
Brilliant.
So it's not just me and them, it was granddad. And we all learned a lot from my dad.
Yeah.
A lot of common sense, a lot of the way he could develop products and cut through a lot of the nonsense that goes when you try and develop things. His sense of humour, he was a great sales guy. We learned a lot. I learned, all I know about selling from my dad, and they were lucky to have the same benefit of working with him.
Brilliant.
So that's been really good.
It's been it has. It's been great. I've been really lucky. I think my 25 years next year will be my 25th year. So
goodness,
I were kind of going nowhere really fast, and then got an opportunity. I'd always worked at Whitley's from being little, doing bits in the stores and stuff, and coming with Dad. So I was always familiar with it and the people who worked here. But anyway, I was going to become a dad, and I said to my dad, well, can I, do you think, as I was at college and doing a couple of half days and that and working in holidays, and he said, well, yeah, you can work here. And I started in production. They got me on what was an apprenticeship then. It was a night school, 2 nights a week doing electronics. And I did that for 4 years. And it's been a great opportunity for me to travel and meet people and just learn, learn from having an R&D department for a guy who's I'm interested in technical stuff. Having an R&D department's it's like a library for a bookworm, isn't it? It's unbelievable, and we've got some amazing people. We've had some amazing people who are not just. I think what we've found, to jump off track a bit on R&D, is it's certainly become more diluted, and I think that's from education, and we see that where people are more specialised, and you don't always get that full kind of breadth of training in everything. And I've been really lucky, I think, as Dad has as well, where we've got still now and had guys who can do electrical, mechanical, computing. And, I were really lucky with one of our little products that we make. I was just super interested in it when I was a young guy. Bloke who's retired now called Chris Roper, and I just go ask him stupid questions all day long. And he was ace, he was great. He'd just tell you. And if you were keen, he'd teach you. And so I was really fortunate with that. Yeah. And that massively helped top up my college because, my education, I passed my college and I did all right in that. But prior to that, education wasn't really my forte. So it was great to have that support of work, which all the young people do now. Really? There's a wealth of bright people, and not just in engineering. We've got girls on business administration degrees, and they've got massive support up in the office. Yep. So I feel really lucky that I've had that opportunity. It's great. It's really, really.
And interestingly, the man that Tom just mentioned, Chris Roper, he was also a big help to me, was Chris. But his dad worked with us. And when the company first started, his dad was a massive help, that I know. And then when Chris came along, Chris was electronics that. So
it's
as
amazing.
a family, they've been fantastic.
Yeah, when you step back and you look how it feeds in friendships, and then their family comes in. We've got lots of family members. I mean, our head of R&D, Fergs, his 3 boys are working here.
Wow.
One's working in kind of procurement in stores, 2 are in engineering. One of them will probably transition into sales. So we'll have a foot in every camp, which is great.
Yep, there we are.
I don't know what happened then, Chris.
I'm so it's my end. It just told me it was my end, so forgive me for that.
Yeah, no
okay.
problems.
It occasionally happens, but just clarify what you're talking. So you've got lots of different families.
Yeah, lots of
absolutely.
connections. We've got.
You must do a seminar on that. That must be incredible.
It's cool. We've got loads. Dan Lavella works for Mean Services. Mum's in production. Rachel's in accounts. Her mum's in production. Ferg, head of engineering. Son in production. Son in stores. Son in service.
Another father and son in Mark and Tom.
Yeah, Mark and Tom Whittingham, both in production. It's crazy. You could do like a really mad company organogram about all the links of people who are related.
With the family trees.
There's very few that don't have some connections. I mean, I knew you before.
It's been really
Deborah, before she came along. Very, very few people here that there wasn't a connection with.
I think it helps kind of bond those family roots as well that you have, and that's what's really important to us. You asked about what it's like working in a family business, like with your dad and your brother, and it's really great. I mean, you won't mind me saying that you and Joe are probably more alike than I am, like than you two guys. So I'm like the one who gets really stressed about things and goes nuts about stuff. But and that always ideal. But it all works, and sometimes we all live pretty close together as well. Probably within I live about 1 minute walk from Joe, about 5 minutes from you. So we all live really close together. Yeah. There are weekends we probably don't see each other because we might want to strangle each other over the weekend. But I think what we do manage to do, I think we can have our disagreements, and it can go on for a week or two, and we thrash things out. But I think we do always come to a resolution and agree on what needs to happen, and then draw a line in the sand, and we move on to the next thing. And that's something that's really important. I don't think we hold any grudges. I think we thrash things out. We do it. It can be quiet, and then it's done. We're on to the next thing. And I think
we don't agree all the time about any number of things, but I think that's good. It's healthy. It's healthy, really.
Absolutely. Healthy friction is where I like to describe it. You need healthy friction because friction is energy. That's when you get things.
Definitely, you need to be challenged as well. And I think now, like I've been with my boy when he was here, and certainly now Grace has probably been here, granddaughter and daughter. She's done 1 year of her apprenticeship, and like she's obviously Frank's a bit older. He doesn't live with us, so we sit around the table, works the topic. It's a family business, and Grace is obviously. Probably listened to more than I thought, actually. And then I find that she'll challenge me and say, "Oh, well, you didn't say that, Dad. Like, that's not right. You said," and it's like, "Oh, yeah, you're right."
She's called me out.
And it pushes you. It pushes you on, doesn't it? And you need that, don't you? You need people to challenge you because you don't have all the answers. And I think for us, it's all about collaborating and getting the best out of the group. I think we've done a lot of work on the culture over the last 5 years, definitely. Which has been a positive thing, and it's hard to always keep that strong positive culture. We try and do a lot for team members, and we've definitely been stronger with people who maybe haven't played as much of a part, and aren't doing what they need to do, which was required, wasn't it? As we've grown.
When you grow from the 2 of us, as we did 3 of us, when Pam was like part time, my dad's wife. And other people come along, you're completely flexible. If they say, "Oh well, can I do so?" Yeah, that's fine. You just work. Don't bother coming in then, or don't do this. And it's really difficult as you suddenly find you've got a number of people, and if you say, "Yeah, well, don't work Friday afternoons if that's a problem," you're then suddenly inundated with, "Well, hang on. Why don't they work for it? And I don't want to do that." And I have found that very difficult. Things that I would just say, "Well, it's not a problem. They're great people. They can do that." And then usually Tom will point out to me, But if we do that, that's going to happen.
It becomes
Absolutely.
a bigger decision, but merely based on numbers and headcount, and it's. But I think we're definitely getting back to where, we're heading on we're in the right trajectory now with that. I feel.
Yeah.
I think it's a credit to any organisation when you have multiple generations working, both you guys, but obviously your employees too, because it's a mark of how enjoyable it is working there. If that makes sense, it's like there's plenty of people and places that go, well, I don't want to work there because I've seen
Deborah would be the one to ask, but you've been here how long, Deborah?
17 years.
17 years.
Wowzers. Brilliant.
She obviously it can't be that bad because she's very talented. She'd have been off somewhere else.
Absolutely. But it really is, because I think there's plenty of organisations where their sons and daughters wouldn't want to work where their parents work because of the stresses and strain. They, if they're coming home from work cursing and about what it's like, then that's often why you don't get that. But when you've got that happening so much, it's important that it's just you take that as a credit to the way you run the organisation.
Yeah, you've got to have that separation, I think, because work becomes such a massive topic. And I think one thing me and Dad have done always since I was a little lad, we go to rugby. We go watch the rugby. We're big Rhinos fans. We said we didn't want to talk about that, but anyway, we are, aren't we?
Yep.
And that's always been our date. Well, we'll talk about work on the way on the drive because it's Friday. Often it's a Friday. Brilliant. And it'll be, and then we get there, and as soon as we pull up, it's all about rugby. We're chatting about rugby. We watch the game, and it's really, really nice. And I think probably when my boy was here, we didn't have enough of a separation from that. We're doing things. We're working on that now. I think that's important, and certainly, and also with my daughter, a lot of talk about work. She'll ask me things, but we'll have a dad kind of daughter. I mean, she's 19, and talk about like she's a little girl, but we'll go and do stuff together, which don't necessarily involve. Or what was this at work? What was that at work? And I think that's really important to have those defined lines, because if you don't have that and enjoy that good time, things can get really blurred and quite stressful quite quickly. That's definitely my personal experience on it. I think you've got to have that separation from it. And I'm lucky I have a great wife, and she puts up with my kind of coming back and being stressed. She's great. She's like the unsung hero and all this kind of, she should really be talking on this podcast. It'd probably be a bit, you might not want to wear it, actually, I think she said about me and how I am. But I think that's definitely important. That's been good for me and Dad. And I think this year with me and Joe, we've always worked really well together, but we've tried to kind of do a few things out of work, a bit of lunch, me and him. We've taken a day out, walked up Ingleborough and did. Right. So obviously we are talking about work, because it does come back to that with me and Joe quite a bit. But you're a bit out of that work environment. You're out in the fresh air. You don't have your phone ringing and other things going on. And I think me and him have made a really big effort this year to do that on the back of a really positive trip last year. It went round to the Nordics and it was good. I think we both felt actually there was a lot of value in this, and sometimes you kind of head down, bum up out, you like getting on with stuff, and it's nice to take a bit of time out. Yeah, so.
I think it was the Carnegie family. It was Carnegie's the very, very, very wealthy, successful oil family in the States, and there was a bunch of brothers and sons and fathers, and they always used to walk to very similar to what you said. They walk to work, and they found that discussion they'd have on the way to work was the really valuable thing of setting the day off and solving those problems. And it's that, did you say, it's that ability to have some time to talk is so key, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think you feel a bit guilty sometimes if you think, we'll take this time out and we should do this because there's stuff to do, and you put yourself under pressure, and then when you actually do it, you realise that like half a day you took was far more valuable than the half a day you'd have been in work where you don't have achieved anything like the same amount,
Absolutely.
So,
any role that requires, is strategic, and directorial has to involve a significant amount of thinking and talking time. Otherwise, it's a great work ethic to have your head down, bum up, get stuck in. But if we don't put a head up every now and again, look around and see where we're going, then we could have ended up in a totally different place than we expected.
Yeah, and we too, and and we get Joe involved more and more, but we're doing more and more of these visits to see other companies and
where we did the other week, we went to Sound Leisure, didn't we? And that was good. And we tried to organise those guys to come to us. We did it was like organised by the bank, and it was just family business focused. At a family business, we did a really interesting tour. Three guys spoke about like what you're asking us, Chris, family business dynamics. How did you find working with Dad? And there were out of that were three very, very different outcomes and views, which each one was really valid and really sensible and worked for that company about legacy, where you're going, how do you pass on, do you pass on, is the business sold, and all those things. And obviously that's not something we'd want to do, but some of what was said was pretty enlightening, really. And you think, actually, that's quite interesting. And one guy was saying, this is as far as I've got, not sure whether my kids will be involved now, because to take the next level, we're dealing with big corporations and this. And he said, I don't like that. They don't really like me, big corporations, and it's just working as it is now, and that's good. And my kids are, different ways of looking at things.
Absolutely.
And I think that's certainly, we've had a bit of time doing some of that, haven't we?
We have, and it's always been worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. My dad's always been a good forward thinker, but it's kind of newer stuff to me, coming from service, and then obviously I'm selling our service offering, and I've been lucky to be involved in a lot of different departments now, and I think probably at my age now, you're at a point where you're thinking, it's really good value going and listening to these events. And you always meet somebody, who can tell you something. And I think I was definitely guilty, being very insular before.
It's been good. It's been a good thing to do, get involved in it.
Yeah, it's been really nice. And nice to spend time together, It's been really good.
Yeah, it's funny. We when we run events quite regularly for clients and people that are interested in what we do, we often I know a couple of sets of clients. They're not family, but they're sort of co-partners, and they say that they enjoy the events for lots of reasons. But one is driving to and from the event is one of the only times they get a chance
to connect,
proper chat. And that seems crazy, but and obviously it's. But that's it. It's that talking time, that thinking time is so valuable in any business. And yet, as I say, we tend to have this idea that the harder, every minute's got to be working hard. But for me, thinking and talking about the future is incredibly hard. Is incredibly valuable work. However it might be.
100%.
Yeah.
And speaking of the future, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
I think from my side, I think if I'm just putting kind of a service hat on, I think certainly that department's a department that's showing good signs of growth. We're selling products piece of equipment that we sell, we can service, that they require service and maintenance. We have accreditation within the service department for temperature measurement and mass, so weight measurement. 2 of the products or 3 of the products that we sell tie into that. So when we sell you the product, we try to upsell the service contract. We try to upsell calibration because that's part of it and it's a requirement. Yeah. So I think for me, broaden our scope with our UCAS accreditation. So whether we do speed as well, or we widen the bandwidth of what we've got within temperature and stuff, with our CMM machine for measurement, whether we can get that UCAS accredited too. I think this is something that we bat around quite a bit. Maybe looking at some different products that we can add to our portfolio that are stuff that the requirement is not, we don't need demonstration equipment. We don't need a sales guy to go demonstrate it. It's an off-the-shelf incubator, but I know there'll be a service requirement and an accreditation requirement as well. So when we're selling it, we're looking at bolting these supplementary things that we need to offer onto it.
Brilliant.
So I think, for me, it's that growing the service, hopefully another engineer, and broadening that scope, and maybe a few more products in the portfolio that are directly linked to service, not products that are linked to service, stuff that goes hand in hand with it.
Yes.
And I think that one major challenge is to continue to find good people and certainly good managers.
Yeah.
We haven't always had good managers. People have been pushed to levels where they should have been left where they were.
Yes.
And that's been a problem for us. And I think we've learned from that.
Yeah.
And I think that is key as we move on, is getting a really good team of people.
Definitely.
Who can manage a really good team of people. So you know what I mean? So
I really do.
yeah,
Structure.
We know, I mean, it's typical across business and industry that we typically recruit the most technically capable person to become the manager. Um,
yeah,
but management is a skill and discipline
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily come with technical excellence, if you know what I mean.
yeah, exactly.
And it's just it's finding the people that are good managers. I remember many years ago. I won't say how long ago. I went when I was in college. I was looking at what you know the job opportunities, and I went for a sample day at Rolls-Royce Engineering,
Yeah,
the jet engines, and they were. I've always remembered they talked about the idea that they had they had two streams from apprentice or graduate entrant to the board, and one was technical and one was managerial, and
Yeah.
right.
they had
Yeah,
equal grade, so there was no differentiation between the
very
grades
interesting.
because
Yeah,
management skills. But one thing they did say, and I thought this was really fascinating, was that for 18 months, whichever you chose, you could get to board level, but for 18 months you had to swap into
right.
the other side to understand
Yeah,
what it was like
yeah.
Yeah.
and experience
That's
it, however
that's
good or
that's very good.
however good or bad you were, you
Yeah,
realised the other side of the coin. Because again, it's that classic. I often talk about the natural friction between sales and operations, where sales think operations always take too long and don't, and always
Yeah.
moan.
Yeah.
And operations think sales always undersell it and overpromise
yeah.
and neither's true. It's so have a walk around in somebody else's shoes for a little while and you
Yeah,
I think we've done that a bit all right, getting people to cross over a little bit with stuff,
brilliant.
yeah,
haven't we?
yeah. We have.
I mean, we've definitely areas where we've absolutely failed with certain things. And sometimes it's amazing what you think's a right good idea at the time. You reflect on, you think, I don't even know how I even thought that would be a good idea. That's crazy. I've definitely had like loads of those moments. I'd be
Yeah,
lying if I said
me
it was just
too.
once. I've had
Me
about
too.
50, about
Absolutely.
50 plus. But we've got a few younger. We've had a retirement and looked at how production works. And we've got and stores, because obviously production stores mesh. Sales is kind of passing down into stores, and procurement they're feeding production. We've got two young guys doing team leader roles, and we've got, I'd say, definitely a better structure now with our HR, where a lady who does HR, she's delivering kind of people management lessons, how you do your appraisals properly, what signs to look for. I was actually in one the other week, which was great. She's done it with a couple of the young guys. She's done about 4 sessions now. They're about an hour, and they've been really informative.
Brilliant.
And I think we've got. You don't always get it right, but I feel we've definitely got a better structure in place to support
Right.
people in management. When I suppose when you became a boss, just more people came, and you just were a boss with Grandad. When I
Yeah.
did,
And I
it
didn't
was
sign up for that.
yeah. Well,
I worked with my dad, and I was a salesman. Now, he taught me how to sell. I
and
was
then you're
selling,
managing,
and then suddenly you find yourself
and
managing
I
more and more
And
people. And I didn't really do a good job at it. It's
well,
it's been a
well,
long
but it's
time
it's learning
evolving.
from it, Dad, though, isn't it? And looking
Yeah.
at
well,
now what we're putting in
evidently you
place
did.
now. Well, we
Sorry.
did, yeah, you definitely
Evidently
did.
you did because the
Well,
success you've
Well,
had.
yeah, well,
it didn't
definitely.
feel like that.
I appreciate
It
that.
didn't feel like that.
It's
Yeah.
hard, isn't it? And I think when I became a service manager, we're 30, 31, and there were like 6, 7 people to manage. Few were pretty difficult. I were younger, two guys, funnily enough, who had come through the business, who were autonomous. I'd been tasked with training them. I had really good relationships with them. So my working relationship with them didn't change. I trained them. I think they respected the fact that I'd done that. But then there were some other people up here who were very, very difficult, and it was a really
Yeah.
tough time. And I think you learn from that, and you think, well, there's anyone I'm putting into a position of management, we have to have the right support. They need enough autonomy to make their own decisions and feel like they're paddling their own canoe, but
Yeah,
they need that checking, I think, from senior people and from HR to just make sure, are you all right? What's going on? Because it's a pretty lonely place, this kind of middle management. I know when I
it
did that in
really is.
service, it were really
Well,
hard. It were really tough. It were really, really tough. It was good, a
Yeah,
good learning curve. I made a lot of mistakes, but you've really got to keep a close eye on your team who are
yeah,
doing that because it is hard. It can be, the little things can really get you down, and
yeah.
it's tough. But like you say, Chris, you to do it till you walk in someone else's shoes, you don't really realise that, do you?
No,
You think, oh well. And that's what I say to all the guys who are team leaders now. You know, you're going to be looking after a group. Be you, like be your true self, but there'll be a part of it that you're a little bit outside the circle of trust now. You know, like and it is a little bit like that. People look at you a bit different, and it's just about hearts and minds, isn't it?
You know, well, we've got Deborah's going to be retiring in Christmas time, aren't you? You know, after 17 years, and for me personally, that'll be a challenge.
Yes.
We've got another a young lady who Deborah's been training, working with for this last year, and I think she's going to be really good. But the skills are different all the time.
Yeah.
Deborah's, I hope you know, she won't mind me saying she's kind of old school in terms of her skills with well written English, you know, just all that kind of stuff that next generation along didn't get the same education, I don't think, did they? You know, they didn't get the education in English, maths, all of the things that were staples for us. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge, you know, bringing people on like you need to do.
I think you've been conscious of your handover though, Debs, haven't you? And you've been doing it. This has been a year really focused from beginning to when we get to the end of handing it over properly. And we have absolutely had it where people have gone and like someone said, right, yeah, I'm going to retire. Like when? And like, well, my notice period's 2 months.
Next
and
week.
it's like, whoa, what? And I've got 3 weeks holiday left. And that was a key person who went, and it led to us probably panicking, having to get someone else, which led to quite a bit of time wasted in not getting it really where we needed it. And I think we've put a lot of emphasis on that. We've had it in service as well, where we've got a new guy and there was a transition. You spend a year with this bloke, we're doubling up. People can see that as a cost. It's absolutely not. It's like, it's really important. And you don't want to lose skills. You know, there's stuff where people have been a long time and they've got skills that if you don't hand that over, it's just gone, isn't it? It's gone, and we have been victim of that. So it's nice how Debs is doing it.
I suppose that's what I mean about getting good people coming on and good managers coming on. You know, Deborah's the right stuff, so she's done a really good job, and there'll be a transition. Not everybody is, and we've had people who are not the right stuff and have just see ya, you know, and it's difficult.
We find we teach a lot of people about recruitment, and we actually do some recruitment now ourselves. And one of the key differences, I think, that most people we always have this proposition that most people recruit on experience but sack on attitude, if that makes sense. So our proposition is let's find people with the right attitude, because you can always train skills. I appreciate the more technical we are, the base skills might be required, but it's so often that, you know, let's find people that and attract them on behaviours and culture match.
I completely agree with that.
Attitude and like you say, and we went to a lead Rhinos thing, didn't we? It was when Rowan Smith was there, and he'd said more focus on getting people, on just looking at good people,
the right people,
getting good people who will go the extra mile, people who will do that, and I think that's definitely it. And you're quite right. It becomes far less about people's skills and what they've got on paper behind them, because we know we've got, you know, if I'm talking about engineering and people for service, we've got oodles of engineers here who are very, very good, who can teach people and get them to a level, given the right attitude from that person, they can be up here. So definitely that's a very poignant point.
Traditional recruitment is I look at a bunch of CVs. Well, CVs doesn't tell.
No one tells you
captured the school rugby team and all that stuff. You need to get in front of more people. You know, so we start with a group assessment. So we literally very few people disqualify that process. Get them in and get the people that really love the idea of working with us. Get them to put their hands up. Make it difficult for them. Actually, make it challenging. And the ones that almost survive that, so it's not the Squid Games or anything but it is about finding the ones that want it so much they're willing to go through some challenges, if that makes sense. And then you've got people that really want to work there, and then as I say, the training and the knowledge, it comes, you know, when you've got, as you say, great engineers that can train and coach, and that's very much comes through in the apprenticeship. That's why it's finding people that really want to be there. But you can do that at all levels. I'd suggest it's focus on attitude, and it really works well the way we run it, because it does make a massive difference to the likelihood of people being successful and staying. And I think
Yeah.
that's the key thing, isn't it? Is that if the culture is, in fact, I remember one of our clients talking about the way we run it is you typically have a lot of team members involved in the process as well. So the successful candidates will know quite a few people. In fact, I remember one in the business that we worked with in Ilkley, and one of the candidates said that was successful. They said going to the first day at work was like going to meet your mates.
Yeah.
And that's cool,
Really
isn't it? When you
That's
get
cool,
that,
Yeah, it's really nice.
you know. So it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, I could talk all evening, but I'm conscious of time. So I just want to really thank you for your time this afternoon. It's been fascinating again, as it was last time, I remember. And for anyone that that's been watching this would like to contact you or the business, what would be the best way to do that?
So if you want to, I'll creep back in. If you want to contact us at sales@dwscientific.co.uk, that's probably the best way to do it.
Brilliant. And I'd urge you to use a lot of that knowledge, and if you'd like to pass it forward, as they say nowadays. You've got a lot to teach people about running business, running fast growing businesses, export businesses, and family businesses. So, but
we're happy to do that, Chris. Well, we're happy to help out with that kind of stuff.
It'd be great to make something like that happen, because I'm not going to say you're unique, but I mean the breadth of what you've achieved with
those particular expertise.
I think Chris, we've also got a really lovely premises that can host people, and we've got nice facilities for eating, and if you wanted to have and a bar as well.
Right, I must come over.
We've got really good facilities, and we'd be happy to do like what we've had with the bank, a factory tour, have people around, people can talk, share ideas and stuff. I mean, that's what pushes everybody on into sharing ideas, and
absolutely.
So we'd happily host something like that.
If you wanted to do anything, and
thank you.
Come here, you come and visit us. We show you around. If you wanted to host something here with us, we'd be happy to do that.
And you've got my contact details, Chris, or at least the particular house. So
I do, Deborah. Thank you so much. No, I would love to do that. I think that would be wonderful.
That would be a pleasure. Yeah.
Well, look, for now, and again, let's catch up again in another 6 to 12 months. But for now, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.